Hey, beloveds. I am Ricky Jane Adams, and I am so honored to be here as part of Fly July. I am going to have a chat today. We're going to do really an online kind of workshop together. The best tool that I can give you in my role as an intuition expert to get to know your intuition at the deepest and most profound level that there is. And this fits so perfectly in with the kind of theme of Fly July, because what we're doing is we're making a commitment to give up things that are coming from a fear-based choice or an addiction-based choice. So addiction is always the abdication of personal responsibility. So wherever there's something in our life that we think we can't live without, what we're doing is we're abdicating our own personal power, and we're saying there's something bigger than me, outside of me, that makes me vulnerable, that takes away my power. And of course, we don't want that. We don't want that because that's the opposite of our magnificence. So what we're going to do today is, we're going to learn the art of increasing your intuition, which has nothing to do, of course, with trinkets and superstitions. It's got nothing to do with pendulums or crystals or where we are in the phase of the moon. What matters, if we're talking about increasing our intuition, is increasing our fearlessness. How do we become more fearless? And that's all we need to know. And the reason for that is very simple. It's because intuition rides with love. Now, I just had this very profound experience today with a client, in fact, of, people will often say to me, I don't know what my intuition is saying. I'm really blocked around my intuition. And that's never true. That is never a true statement. What that person is saying is, I am too afraid to acknowledge the truth of what my intuition is telling me. In other words, I know what I need to do. I know what my soul is inviting me or instructing me to do. I know what my next step is. And I'm so terrified of stepping into that because there is this program of fear. Whatever that fear is for you, it doesn't matter. All fear is one fear. And so we prevent listening to our intuition because intuition is always an invitation to change, yeah? So we build our whole world on not changing. We get insurance for everything. We're constantly looking for guarantees. We marry people in the hope they'll never leave us. We have children so we won't be left alone. We try to buy a house so we'll always have somewhere to live. We work against the nature of the universe by constantly looking for external evidence that things will not change, that we'll get to a point where we'll feel safe. And that safety in 3D reality, when we put our sense of personal safety in 3D reality, of course, we're always going to fail because that is not the level at which you truly exist. Your true nature is quantum. Your true nature is energy first, physical second. And so if we want to truly thrive in our lives, living fearlessly means being unafraid of change. So in order to hear our intuition, which is always an invitation to change, we need to remove our fear, yeah? Very simple. So because I can talk about this topic forever and I want to actually make this really practical, we're going to go through a process that I recently developed. So my institute is called the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence. And intuitive intelligence is going beyond knowing you're intuitive to trusting and living your intuition. So everything we just talked about, it's how to become fearless. It's how to live in partnership with the divine. It's how to trust that knowing and to take action around that knowing without hesitation, because you are in such a state of flow, in partnership, in union with the infinite, that there's never any question. You don't even have to ask a question because the flow is always taking you where you need to go. And this state is entirely possible to live in. It doesn't mean that there are no challenging or difficult life events or that you won't have fearful emotions. It means that when that fear rises up, you don't let it take hold. You use this tool, and in this case I'm going to introduce you to what I call the micro method, is a profound way to access your intuition by removing your fear. So should we jump into it? Let's do it, hey? Let's take these tools and actually make this fearlessness real, because it is entirely possible for us to live this way when we apply that devotional practice, that devotional daily practice that Corfi is such a master of, to our lives. I bow down to your inner discipline, my sister. You are just magnificent at it, and you inspire me all the time to do more. So let's jump into the practice. Now, if you're listening live and you're safe to do so, you can join me right now. If you're wanting to just listen and do the practice later, then just listen in, or at any time that you listen, you can do this practice, and I'll actually share a PDF of the practice so that you can continue it afterwards, because it is so profound and it gets better with practice. You know, Corfi knows this, I say it all the time, intuition is a muscle. So if you really want to be living from your intuitive intelligence, you've got to work that muscle. You cannot sit at home on the couch eating ice cream and expect to get a six-pack. And it's exactly the same with our innate intuition. To turn it from, yes, I know I'm intuitive, to living, breathing every moment of your life from your intuitive intelligence, you have to turn up with devotion every damn day. There's no choice, non-negotiable. Yes, exactly. Okay, so this is what happens. Let's say we wake up in the morning and we wake up in a bad mood. There might be 1,000 good reasons for it, or there might be none. But normally what we would do is we would just get up and we'd plow through our day, and we wouldn't kind of stop to do anything about that heavy emotion. So what happens is that emotion gets bigger during the day, and then someone will come into our life, and because we're feeling all these heavy emotions, we attack them because we're trying to get that poison out of us, and we don't know how to do it safely. We haven't been given the tools. So this is what you're going to do. Let's say it doesn't have to be when you woke up first thing in the morning. The moment that you notice that you are having a stressful thought that is taking you away from the present moment, that is the time to apply this practice. And it's very simple, and you'll get better at it as you go. The first thing that you're going to do is close your eyes and just breathe into that feeling. Just notice the feeling, okay? So if you're not feeling stressed right now, just cast your mind back to a moment in time where you were feeling stressed and angry or disappointed or frustrated or moody or whatever it was. And you're just going to deepen your breath, maintaining a slightly extended breath, slightly longer than normal. Inhaling to a particular count, a ratio of breath that you're comfortable with, and exhaling for slightly longer. And you're going to be with that feeling. You don't want it to go anywhere. You're just honoring it by giving it some attention, because normally what we'll do is, as addicts as we are, we'll find something to cover up that feeling. We'll use something external to us to try and cover up that feeling, whether it's food or booze or you know, addiction to exercise or whatever it is. But instead, we're just going to privilege it. We're going to be with it. We're going to say, okay, I love you so much as an aspect of me, my shadow. I'm not going to run away from you. Okay, and now what you're going to do is very similar. If you've used EFT, you're going to rate that fear. You're going to rate that feeling. You're going to rate that feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most intense. And you're doing this entirely intuitively. Okay, I've woken up this morning. I'm feeling stressed. I don't know why, but it's there and I don't like it. It feels like a 7. About 70% of my body feels kind of consumed by this feeling, okay? So if you're in this process now and you're feeling something shitty, rate it. If you're casting your mind back, just recall how you felt in the intensity of that emotion and rate it. And what you're doing is, and by the way, you can apply this to a headache, to a backache, to, you know, it doesn't have to just be an emotional feeling. It can be absolutely a physical symptom as well, because this process works just as powerfully. Remember, at the quantum level, there is no physical body. Everything is vibrating particles of matter. And in order to heal, we need to raise the vibration. That's it. That's as simple as it is. All healing is a return to love, because we're taking a low vibrational state and taking it to a high vibrational state. So now that you've got your number out of 10, now is where we go to work. Now is where we're going to really go into that fear, and we're going to name it. You're going to take 2 fingers to the center of your chest with your eyes still closed. And the reason you're doing this is you're signifying to your consciousness that you want to be operating from your most or highest intelligence, which is your heart intelligence. Now, I don't have time to go into the science of that, but you know, you can buy the book, or I can talk to you more about this at another time. But your heart is the center of your highest form of intelligence. Your heart, your anatomical heart, as well as your metaphysical heart, your heart chakra, your power center. And this is the place we want to be residing when we're tuning into our intuition. So by closing our eyes, extending our breath, 2 fingers at the center of our chest, we're signifying to our physiology that we're very safe. And we're letting our consciousness know that we want to be operating from our heart. And now what we're going to do is we're going to ask, what is the dominant fear in this situation? A Course in Miracles tells us we're never afraid for the reason we think we are. So you're angry with your partner, or you've woken up stressed, or you've got PMS, or whatever the reason, the superficial reason for your heavy emotion is, beneath that is a fear. And let's say in this case, you just suddenly hear the words, or feel the words, or see the words, or know the words, fear of failure. Ah, okay. And suddenly you're tuned in to the deeper meaning of that shitty feeling that you woke up with. And the deeper meaning is this deep subconscious program. There is a fear story informing that feeling that you're having that is much bigger than the feeling in the moment. So perhaps you've forgotten that tomorrow you're going into a job interview that you really want, or you're going to meet with your dad who always makes you feel like you're a failure later in the day, or you're about to have a conversation with your boss about a pay rise, or you're about to set up your own business, or you're launching a new program, and all that you're feeling actually is fear of failure, because your subconscious is running a story that says, remember the last time you tried and you failed? Well, it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. You're going to fail again. So you think you're just grumpy with your partner because they didn't pick their socks up off the floor. And in truth, you're running a fear program beneath the surface, remembering that the reasoning conscious mind is just 10% of your consciousness. It's the 90% beneath the water that is truly showing you what it is that I'm afraid of. But you can't access that knowledge in the busyness of your day through your dominant 5 senses. You need to go into your intuitive intelligence, withdrawing your attention from the superficial world and moving into your most profound intelligence, your heart's intelligence. So now you've got this brief and succinct answer, and depending on your dominant clair, another thing we don't have time to go into, but whether you're visual or whether you feel or whether you know or whether you hear, you're going to get that information, and you trust that first answer. You let that first answer come to you like lightning, because intuition is always instant, okay? And you've provided the perfect conditions for your intuition to talk to you. When you're running around like a headless chook in the world, fast breathing, physiology in kind of flight or fight mode, nervous system pumping out cortisol, of course you're not going to be able to hear your intuition. You have not provided the conditions that are required. Just checking the time, Qualified, because I'm really worried I'm going to go over time. So now you've got your answer. Now is where we want to transform it, because self-awareness is nothing without the action taken at the energy level, the quantum level. We want to transform that fear. It is not enough to know and label your fear. It does not go far enough. What you need to know right now is you are the most profound healer in the goddamn freaking world, and you have the best medicine for yourself. You are your own guru. You have not only just located your own fear, your deep subconscious fear, not that superficial shitty fear that's causing you to do chaotic things in the world, like break up with someone you really love because you don't know what you're really afraid of. You're going now to heal that fear, because remember, all healing is simply a return to love. You're going to take your fear home to love, because all that fear is showing you is where you have blocked love from your life, usually because of feelings of low self-worth, and all fear is one fear. It's the fear that I am not enough, that I am not God, or whatever language you would use, whether it's source or spirit or infinite consciousness, it doesn't matter. So now you're going to heal. All right, so closing down the eyes once more if you're doing this with me. Deepening the breath, letting it go, remembering that fear, not being afraid of it, you're sitting with it, you're very safe to feel it. That fear that you rated on a scale of 1 to 10, that fear, let's use the example of the fear of failure, that just showed up for you as a stressful, shitty morning, is now revealing itself as a lifelong fear of failure that you are now capable of healing. And the way we're going to do that, we're simply going to apply the law of vibration. You are the quantum level of vibrating particles of matter. And in order to return to love, you simply have to take your vibration to that level. But you don't have to do it by just hoping that it will happen. Here's how you're going to do it. Keeping your eyes closed. You're going to place your hand over your heart. Remember, this is the center of your intuitive intelligence. You're going to turn your mind to images and thoughts that elicit profound feelings of gratitude, appreciation, and self-compassion. Bring to mind the perfect cup of coffee, that feeling of the sun on your back, a smile from a stranger, your child's face when you pick them up from daycare. Anything at all, don't judge it as good or bad, anything at all that is eliciting those feelings, really feeling gratitude, compassion, and appreciation. And imagining that you're filling a balloon that surrounds you and you want it to fill so much it feels like it's going to burst. And we're just going to keep doing this, keep bringing the monkey mind back to those images and see how long it takes until a smile is on your face, because it's very hard to resist that smile, that feeling of warmth inside of you, just knowing that this is the medicine that your soul is yearning for. You are literally raising your consciousness. Maybe it was images of your last holiday, the kiss from your beloved, the book that you're writing. Just keep filling that bubble that surrounds you with more and more and more, handing yourself over bodily, uninhibited, not holding back any of you from the divinity, from the deliciousness, from the magnificence of this feeling. Beautiful. And with your eyes still closed, if you're doing this practice with me now, I simply want you to stay in that state, letting go of the mental images now, taking a deep breath in, letting it go out through the nose, or even better, out through the mouth with an audible sigh. And now looking around for that fear that you rated on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most intense. And our very great hope that when you look for that number now, that number has come right down. Just look for that feeling. And when you find it, give it a number on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most intense. Now, if that number is still above 2, I want you to go back into that practice right there, that heart coherent practice that we just did of raising your vibration, literally returning to love by holding those high vibrational states. And do that up to 2 more times until you get that number to 2 or below. And just know that in that tiny, like 5 to 10 minute practice, and you'll get really good at this, so you'll be able to move through it at lightning speed, you've completely transformed the vibration that you are both holding within and that which you are putting out into the infinite one mind. That means you're changing what you're inviting back into your life. Oh, sorry, just a notification popped up there. So you have become fearless, and more importantly, you have equipped yourself with a tool that means that when fear rises, you will no longer be its victim. You have a tool to transform yourself, and on the other side of your fear is that divine communion with the infinite that is always, always, always whispering to you the answers of your life if you will just take a moment to listen. Okay, bang on 20 minutes, Core5. Thank you so much for this beautiful opportunity. Thank you so much for being such a magnificent soul, dear soul sister. You are sublime in every way, and I've had the most fun ever, and I'm honored to be part of Fly July, and I redouble my commitment to surrender sugar. Have the best day ever.